Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again for the penultimate time in 2025 to break down everything that happened in the world of WWE in the last week before the new year. Vintage Chris Vanini will be along momentarily, and we have a ton to talk about on this episode, as we always do. But as we get into it, allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast in 2025 and beyond
is all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, take a little extra time, and leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And we have not one, but 2 new 5-star reviews for your ear holes. The first from Stump0331, 5 stars, and gave us 5 stars. He says, "Let me talk to ya." I started listening about 2 years ago, and I haven't missed an episode since. I listen while at work, and I look forward to every time an episode is available. The sound drops are great, and I hope you continue to add to your collection. The straightforward analysis of the events is extremely enjoyable. I really like it when both of you disagree, and I find myself mostly siding with Vintage. No. Except for his take on Samantha Irvin at the end of WrestleMania 40, but I digress. I have been a lifelong wrestling fan, but now mainly only watch main roster WWE, yet I still listen to all your pods in their entirety. It helps me keep a finger on the pulse of the rest of the industry. When I hear you discuss other brands with intriguing storylines or interesting topics, I will go out of my way to watch that product. I listen to a few other wrestling pods. This is by far my favorite, and I sure as hell ain't writing them any reviews. You guys keep up the good work, and when can we get some Getting Over podcast merch? I'd wear the hell out of it. So let's take your last part first. The merch situation, many of you have asked, but it hasn't been a regular stream where it has said to me, yeah, go make the effort to do it because you're going to get a lot of people buying them. I'd say it's probably been like 20 people spread out over the last few years. If you guys want merch and actually will purchase it, I need to know 2 things. One, do you want just t-shirts, right? Because that's the easiest thing to do. If so, do you just want the logo, or do you want like catchphrases from the show? Those are the things that I need to know. And then we can go ahead and make some merch. It's relatively easy to do with some of the websites that are out there. They take a lot of money from the creators, but whatever. If you guys actually want this stuff, we'll do it. So hit us up at Getting Overcast on social media, gettingoverpod@gmail.com. You can tell us in reviews. You can leave comments on Spotify, wherever you can reach us. Let us know that you want merch, and we will go ahead and get it for you. The second part, mostly agreeing with Vintage over Silver King. I mean, I played it already. No. That to me sounds like a horror show.
And that is gonna be a horror show. How do you like that, huh?
I don't like it, Bailey, and I don't think he's being honest. I just think Stump0331 wanted a reaction out of me. Vintage, what do you say?
Good to hear. Thank you for that kind comment. And I think over the last, I don't know, I'll say year or so, I feel like we have disagreed more than we used to.
We have.
And I do think, and that's not on purpose, but I do think that makes for a better podcast, frankly, because then we're not just saying the same thing.
I'm not a podcast listener outside of literally listening back to this show. And I told you guys previously.
That still boggles my mind.
I know. The only talk show I've listened to my really whole life is Howard Stern's show. Other than that, I don't listen to podcasts and debates and all this type of stuff. And I hate the embrace debate thing on sports television and all that. Manufactured disagreements to me, Chris, are the least intriguing part of content. Like I see it happen, and you look at the person, you say they don't believe what they're saying. So I enjoy the way we banter back and forth, because when we agree, we're kind of doubling down and telling the listeners, yeah, we really do believe in this, whether it's positive or negative. And when we disagree, it's natural and legitimate. We never force it. And that is, I hope, one of the reasons why people enjoy this show so much.
And one other thing on the merch front, I have been thinking about this. Well, also, I love the drops as well. It's something I've tried to incorporate on Bunch Formation, my college football podcast that I'm taking from
what
this
a
show.
Cheap plug. I put that show over plenty naturally, and you just throw that in there here. Come on, man.
But I'm using it to say that is one of of the best parts of this show. But on the merch front, something I've been considering on the other show too, in terms of merch, what about just like stickers? That's usually kind of more of a low cost type of thing. People get it, put it on your laptop, put it on your water bottle, whatever. If there's an audience that would be interested in that, you don't have to invest in a shirt and everything that comes with that. I've thought about doing that with the bunch formation because of like helmet stickers. I love helmet stickers in college football. And I was like, maybe we do some stickers. The Sickos committee does stickers. I don't know. Maybe that's a lower kind of lower bar type of thing.
No, I like that. My friend Kyle Porter, he does the Normal Sport newsletter for golf. And by the way, subscribe to that if you are into golf, because it's fantastic. But when you subscribe, or at least for early subscribers, whatever the case, he sent like a thank you card in the mail with some stickers and of his like really unique logo. And I have those all over the place. I'm not a big sticker guy at all, but his logo is so cool that I use them. So maybe that is the move. I don't know whether our logo would print out well, just given the way it's been, designed, but maybe it will. I'd have to just do some tests on it. I'm not against stickers. I'd rather include stickers in other merchandise that is purchased. Also, we make money on it, more money on it. But I don't know. We'll consider merch. Stickers are an option. Shirts. I wear hats, so I'd love to get a Getting Over hat. I really should at least make one for myself. But if you are interested, let us know. I already told you how you can contact us, and we will seriously give merch a consideration in 2026. We're also thinking about adding another means of communication with us as a benefit for our Getting Overheads in 2026, possibly both free and paid. So there's going to be some things coming and percolating in January. Stay tuned to all that. But we do have one more 5-star review from A. Rolly DK, the undisputed champions of WWE. And I can't read what the rest of it is because iTunes or whatever this is called these days, iPodcast, has cut it off. 5 stars. If you're a serious WWE fan looking for insightful, passionate, and genuinely entertaining analysis. See, that's what I like to hear. Genuinely entertaining analysis. Yeah. Stop what you're doing and subscribe to this podcast immediately. This isn't just another wrestling podcast. It's an essential weekly experience that enhances the entire WWE viewing experience. The chemistry between the hosts is unmatched. They perfectly balance expert analysis with the pure enthusiasm of longtime fans. They break down every Raw, SmackDown, Premium Live event with meticulous detail covering everything from match psychology and long-term booking implications to the subtle character nuances you might have missed. What sets this show apart is its professionalism. Man, this review is kicking ass right here. Yeah. The audio quality is always crisp. The segments are well structured, and they never waste your time with unnecessary tangents. We kind of are going on one right now. They provide honest, constructive criticism when needed, but always in a respectful way that highlights their deep love for the business. Highlights include their uncanny ability to predict upcoming storylines. Whether you agree with their hot takes or not, you're always guaranteed a thoughtful discussion that makes you rethink your own perspective on the product. Simply put, this podcast is appointment listening. It's informative, hilarious, and the gold standard for current WWE coverage. 5 stars, no question. They're the undisputed champs. I mean, is that the greatest review we've ever received? Because, Chris, I think it might be.
And not a plant either.
I know, not a plant. A. Rolly DK. I don't know who that is. Never heard of him. Never seen a comment on social media. I don't think I've interacted with him or her before. Out of nowhere. So, A. Rolly, we greatly appreciate you. Who's this other one? Stump 0331. Appreciate you a little bit less because you prefer vintage over the Silver King. But nevertheless, both of you, thank you so much for contributing. We acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
All right, that took a good bit longer, Chris, than I expected going into the show. So we're not going to do the other promotions here at the top. We do have a lot to talk about in the world of WWE, the main event, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Both of those are indeed coming up.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
And it's really just one item here, and we briefly discussed it last Thursday on the NXT, AEW, and AAA edition of the show, special edition, last week. Dominic Mysterio injured his shoulder during a AAA show 2 Saturdays ago. He is actually hurt. Like, it's not bullshit. He injured himself while wrestling his deadbeat dad, of course, Rey Mysterio's fault. Monday on Raw, WWE said he will be out indefinitely. Considering nothing was said about the Intercontinental Championship and how quickly they took the World Heavyweight Championship off Seth Rollins just a couple months ago, I'm presuming this is a 1-month injury. He's going to be back by the Royal Rumble. If not, that's going to be a huge absence. Not having the title on TV along with Dom not being there. That would be dreadful. It seems like it's trending that way, 3 weeks, a month, something like that, based on everything I've seen and heard. And if you're WWE, don't make the mistake that you actually did with someone else, in my opinion, on Monday night. Save the return for the Royal Rumble. Get as many people coming back on that show as you possibly can, especially because it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. And while you can travel over there and it really shouldn't be much of an issue to theoretically hide people, it is obviously more difficult to do so when you're talking international travel than domestic.
Yes, I agree on all that points. I actually didn't realize that's when he was hurt. I heard them say on the show that he was hurt, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if it was a gimmick or I missed something. So that's really unfortunate. Has everybody in Judgment Day had some serious injury at some point? Like
everyone except for, I'm going to knock on wood here, everyone except for Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Damian Priest did or not, but like Finn has, JD is, Rhea has, Dom has, Liv has,
Raquel has.
It's man.
She had not just an injury, she had a medical issue. Raquel.
Yeah. But they've all gotten through it. So hopefully it's not too much. Obviously we don't know much more than that, but it's just once again, like Liv's back, but Dom's gone, and you're going to have to kind of adjust. And these people have been like the best at adjusting. Yeah. So hopefully they can.
And remember, like, it's like, why don't they end Judgment Day? They can't, because every single time they get together and they're like, oh, wow, we can finally start ending it or do it, or at least, adjusting our plans to a point where we can eventually end it. Someone else goes away and they have to, put a plug in it. So unless you want them to just end it like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller and just say that thing never happened and it's off television, which I don't think they're going to do. Judgment Day is going to be here for a while. And frankly, man, it's not the worst thing, because what do we talk about? Every single time it's like, oh, this is kind of dragging, they're not doing it anymore. All of a sudden it gets great. And it has been great over the last few weeks, but now JD is out and Dom is out and they're already down 2 dudes. We were talking about, hey man, this is the first time that there's been a 50-50 gender split in a faction, a true split with like the women wrestling and not just being, valets or whatever the case. And now we get to this point and there's no more split. It's a women-dominated faction, which is not a bad thing. But it's what it is for the next couple of weeks at least. Hopefully not that long. On the note I mentioned about Dom hopefully and probably returning in the Royal Rumble, there's going to be a lot of talent coming back for that match that are returns being kind of categorized as surprises. We previously mentioned LA Knight. Obviously, he got written off with the tsunami into the car. Dominic, for sure, assuming he's cleared. Almost certainly Jacob Fatu. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. Sami Zayn, I would guess, like, where the hell has he been since the Survivor Series? The Street Profits have completely disappeared. Maybe Montez Ford gets a spot. I was going to say Penta would be included in this list, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Either way, just with returning superstars, not even bringing in surprises, there should be a number of really big pops in that match for the men.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about all of them together, but yeah, that's what we want. At this point in the year, save everybody. Don't have them announce that they're coming back in the Rumble like Cody did that one time. Just let everybody have that's the fun of the Rumble.
Yeah, anyone that's like returning or that you're going to do a surprise, like, don't put them on television beforehand. I don't know why WWE has been so obsessed with that. We talked about it a lot. You're right. Cody was the outlier worst ever that they did that with, but there have been
it was like the Friday before the Rumble, right? Wasn't it like right before they announced
I want to say it was like a month leading into it. They started showing vignettes of him training.
You're right. They were doing vignettes about him coming back, and then on the very last one, he said, "I'll be in the Rumble."
Yeah, and it's like, because at least if they didn't say that, then you could say, well, maybe he won't be, but he'll show up on the Raw after, or something.
Something.
There was at least you could at least put it in your head that he's not definitely showing up, and then instead they gave it away, and I forget the number he entered at, but it was probably like 27 or something like that. Like super late in the match, so you were waiting for him, and then you knew he was going to win because of it. That was really frustrating. Okay, about WWE TV this week, SmackDown. Chris, I would say another improved episode from the average since SummerSlam. Still a lot left to be desired. The women's division basically non-existent. Raw, surprisingly weak, I thought, for a live show at the end of a year. The top 2 or 3 storylines on the show, only one of them of the 3 hit, and all of them had been nails recently, so that was disappointing. So a little bit of a mixed bag here around the holiday season, but WWE is back with its live shows. This upcoming SmackDown is supposed to be significant. There's obviously a SmackDown in 2 weeks in Europe. And Raw on January 5th is their big premiere. And I didn't even realize this until last night, really. It's not just that it's the first Raw of the year and it's marking the 1-year anniversary of Netflix. It's the first Monday without Monday Night Football. It actually works really well as a tentpole show every single year to hopefully bring back audience now that there's not NFL competition.
Yes, that's a good point. As for the last couple of shows, they have felt very consistent in terms of like storylines. It's not people we haven't seen are back. And that's obviously because they were pre-taped and it was all the same people in the same arenas. So you kind of had to use those people. It actually made for like week to week easier to follow because we just stayed with the same handful of stories. And I thought it was a solid week.
Yeah, solid overall. And really, before we get out of here, because I just did the whole acknowledge thing, I realized I missed someone from Spotify, and that's my fault. So I just wanted to shout out Hilly Jones, Hilli, who wrote, "Hey, Silver King, I heard what you said on last week's pod about Letterkenny. I am obsessed with this show. I'm obsessed with talking about this show. So this is why I'm reading it. I looked it up and started watching. I'm 4 seasons in, and already it's one of my favorite shows. Thanks so much for all the work you and Vintage put into the show every week. I've been going through a rough spot in my life. You guys give me a section of time every week to take my mind off all my troubles and just enjoy wrestling. So thank you so much for all that you do." And that, folks, is why I wanted to read that. So Hilly, we hope you're doing much better, and we love that our show is helping you in any possible way it can. We acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledge. Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
And for those of you who do want to keep up with my Letterkenny viewing, I'm done with all 12 seasons. Like I ran through the entire show. I am now 3 seasons deep into Shoresy, which is a spinoff. And I'll tell you, if you love or like Letterkenny, you will like Shoresy. If you don't like Letterkenny, you may still like Shoresy because it's a completely different show and so counter to expectations for a spinoff. I never would have thought. It's almost Ted Lasso-esque, and I never would have thought that. So Letterkenny, Shoresy, I'm all in with this Canadian sitcom. This guy, Jared, who's the creator behind him, guy's kicking ass. So please go ahead and enjoy those and let me know what you think. Again, you can tell us by following us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. When you do so, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. When you subscribe on YouTube, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews across the board at Getting Overcast. And you can also email us, gettingoverpod@gmail.com. All right, Chris, a ton to talk about from WWE this week. Everything that happened on Raw and SmackDown. It starts now, as it always does on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, as we slide into the main event.
This is the main event.
Let's start with SmackDown, a rarity here. Nick Aldis reminded Cody Rhodes at the start of the show that he needs to be hands-off once Drew McIntyre apologizes and pays his fine. McIntyre later promised that he would provide all answers on the show after he took a nap to recover from his jet lag. Trick Williams later appeared backstage in Aldis' office, saying Raw is ready to throw him a bag, but he's giving SmackDown a chance to match the offer for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Rhodes interrupted, impatient with Aldis, who sarcastically referenced what Cody said last week and told him to control his emotions. Trick left, but he came back in. He said he wasn't going to be dissed like that. Cody needs to watch his back if Trick indeed signs with SmackDown. Even later, Aldis told Kit Wilson he had something ready for him next week. As Rhodes continued to complain, learning McIntyre had neither apologized nor paid his fine yet, McIntyre's music hit, and that sent everyone to the ring. This was all just a lot of talking. Trick obviously flashed some star power sitting back there, having him face-to-face with Cody. That was important to show that he's legitimate. But here's the problem. If you're Williams and you've been watching these shows, why the hell would you want to go to SmackDown? Why would you want SmackDown to match a contract offer? They would have to pay me more money to work on Fridays and wrestle for that brand than Monday Raw on Netflix. Small detail would have made his part a little bit better. Furthermore, it was frustrating that all Aldis could muster after Rhodes tore him a new asshole last week was a tiny bit of sarcasm that was barely noticeable.
Yeah, this was, I like this. A lot of moving pieces going on. I like, Trick Williams standing up to Cody and doing that. Like, Cody's got a lot kind of going on. And that's what they've kind of tried to get through over the last couple of weeks. And I think that came through here in a pretty good way. I'm still not fully on board with the idea that Drew McIntyre was suddenly able to like set the terms of all this stuff, but this was an overall. I was on board this time.
To be fair, Cody did say that, like, Aldis, you let Drew walk all over you. You shouldn't have let him. So they acknowledged it at least.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he
Yes,
did
they
do
did,
it pretty
exactly.
easily. It did happen pretty easily at his house, though. All right, so we had the Rhodes McIntyre confrontation. That was the main event of SmackDown. Drew handed over a check to cover his fine. Then he got in the referee's face and genuinely apologized for claymoring him. No shenanigans. After Aldis accepted the apology, McIntyre turned and tore the referee down, crouching to his level, saying he had to be a referee because he couldn't be a wrestler. Then he spoke about his wife and kids being embarrassed of him, which was clearly planned to get Cody out from backstage and into the ring. McIntyre tried to goad Rhodes into punching him, and he made fun of him for crying. Then he said he wished his family was on the tour bus during the attack so the kids could see a real man fight and Brandy could see what a real daddy looks like. Great line. Aldis had to physically hold Rhodes back. McIntyre announced he wanted the match in 3 stages of hell, and he didn't want it in the United States. He wanted it in Europe, in Berlin, Germany. Then he asked for Cody, once he got sent to hell, to say hi to his dad for him, Dusty Rhodes. McIntyre then took him down with a claymore, stood over his body with the WWE Championship to end the show. My take on this segment, Chris, it's twofold. One fold is based on what happened Friday night, and the other is what I'm worried is going to be happening when the title is on the line on a SmackDown in Europe that is going to air on a tape delay in the United States. You probably know where I'm going already. This segment was nails. McIntyre was perfect orchestrating the entire deal, operating near his best on the mic, cutting line after cutting line. He knew Cody couldn't do anything about it. The fans reacted accordingly, bending down to get to the referee's height level. Expert tier heel work, just like digging the knife in even further. Aldis holding Rhodes back before McIntyre even finished speaking. That was pretty damn smart. It also told us that Cody's chest-puffing promo last week made zero impact on this suit, who is not going to be turning or changing because of it. He's still protecting the babyface, despite being insulted to his face last week. 3 stages of hell. It's the perfect stipulation for them. For us as viewers also, it leaves us questioning, what are the stages going to be? Maybe they reveal that next week. It could be simple, standard match, street fight, steel cage. Maybe they get more creative. Those are all massive, massive positives. So I want to be very clear. I loved this segment on Friday night, but here are the negatives. First, the match happening not only on a SmackDown, but a taped show in Europe. That makes changing the WWE Championship highly unlikely unless it's a ratings ploy and they somehow believe that leaking a huge spoiler will lead to people tuning into USA Network to see how it happened. I do not see them changing the WWE title like that. Second, Drew took a shot at Dusty. I cannot imagine Cody losing after that. But this is the part I'm even more negative about. The tearing down of the referee. Because that sets up this dude to either be put on the match or to come in as a replacement ref when the main one gets knocked down, potentially screwing Drew out of the title. In other words, all signs point to McIntyre having this massive, massive advantage and still not walking out as WWE champion. And that is the worst case scenario because this is the 4th time they're fighting. He should have won the title months ago, and WrestleMania is right around the corner. Even if the referee screws him, how do you rematch a 5th time with something bigger than 3 stages of hell? That's a trick question. You don't. So while Friday night segment was great, no doubt it was great, I am massively pessimistic about what's to come. And I truly hope I am completely wrong in how I'm reading this. I truly hope so. I just don't believe I am.
Great segment. I'm totally with you. I love the segment. Drew wearing cream colors. I don't know. That looked a little off
I
to
like
me.
that.
He looks,
I thought it was cool.
we love Drew in street clothes. Like it makes him look even more menacing, but the cream color just made it look a little bit soft. I don't know. To me, it didn't fit him, but to each their own on that. I like the whole referee thing, calling him out by name, saying he's only a ref because he failed as a wrestler. I like giving the referees characters. I miss back in the Attitude Era when we knew the names of the referees: Earl Hebner, Mike Chioda, Tim White. Like, not that they were necessarily involved in the storylines, but when you give them characters, it becomes then more heelish when a heel goes after them like this. Like this was a perfectly terrific heel thing that Drew did. And setting up 3 stages of hell, I like that stipulation. I'm trying to remember the last 3 stages of hell, and I feel like John Cena and Ryback maybe did one.
I'm pretty sure there was an NXT one. I want to say Adam Cole was involved. You keep talking and I'll look it up.
That kind of sounds familiar, but yeah, like I like it because it's a stipulation we haven't seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That ups the ante. That makes it feel more important rather than another I Quit match or last man standing, yada yada, or even Hell in the Cell, which we've seen Drew do. So 3 stages of hell. I like that idea. It's different. It makes it feel special. And yeah, I'm trying to remember the last. I feel like I remember
the last main roster. The last main roster one was John Cena and Ryback. Payback 2013. And I was correct. They did one in NXT in 2019. Adam Cole. And I had the other name, but I didn't want to say it because I thought I was wrong. Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano. It was in 2019 NXT TakeOver Toronto. It was a normal match, a street fight, and a steel cage match.
That's right.
The John Cena Ryback match was a lumberjack match, a tables match, and an ambulance match. So they can get really, really creative. It's not just that it is 3 stages of hell. It's what are those stages going to be? And that's going to be super curious. And hopefully they announce that this coming Friday.
Yeah. So like, I like the stipulation. It's fun. So overall, I like the segment, but I am with you that it makes it hard for me to see Drew winning, but I don't know, like in today's WWE, would they like something like that where people found out about a title switch on Twitter, so then they're going to tune in? Or I don't know. Like,
it has definitely happened before. And look, what happened on SmackDown, that was done on a taped show. And, I don't know how people tuned in for it, but that's a lesser title than the WWE champ. This is your big title, the number 1 title in the company. Are you really going to change it in Europe on a taped show and have that leak all day? I mean, maybe they want to draw a rating for USA Network and they think that will do it. It's possible.
It's
possible.
They started the Cody Kevin Owens storyline via, social media, people taking video of it themselves after a show. Like it's something I could see them doing for that reason. But also going to Europe to do it. It's like Drew didn't win the title at the first Clash of the Castle in Wales. He got screwed over by CM Punk in Scotland. It's like, again, if Drew was ever going to win it in Europe, those were the times to do it, and they didn't do it, and we thought they should have.
Yep. Time and again. It's been miss after miss after miss here. And I will repeat, they elongated the Cody Drew feud for a multitude of reasons that were not originally planned. So I don't blame WWE entirely for the booking being a tad haphazard. Yeah. But if you're going to have them fight this long in terms of both matches and length of time, then change the frickin' title at the start and have Cody work from behind to gain it back if the end result is going to be him walking out as champion. If Cody had lost at WrestlePalooza, having just come off shooting a movie where he had an excuse, I wasn't focused, I wasn't ready, I'm going to get that championship back, right? And he went on this 4-month run and then won it. Then no one's complaining if he drops it at WrestleMania or SummerSlam or whatever the case. But instead, you're going to have him potentially take the title back at SummerSlam, only losing it, by the way, for over the last 2 years to John Cena, right? So he hasn't put anyone over the last years, just John Cena, having him lose the title and then just take it all the way again into WrestleMania, maybe taking it out of WrestleMania as well. That just doesn't work for me. I mean, it's a wasted opportunity to give Drew a title reign if they don't switch it on this SmackDown. Because again, even if this referee thing happens and the referee screws him over again and he's given an excuse, they can't run it a 5th time and they can't make a better stipulation for that 5th match. And they're not going to change it even closer to WrestleMania. So it seems like it's now or never.
Yeah, it does.
Now look, if McIntyre doesn't win here, man, I don't want to say dead as a main eventer, but they will have put him near death. And unnecessarily so. He could get built back. You're talking about a 6 to 9 month journey at least. It's impossible to understand the logic with Drew. It really bothers me the way WWE books him specifically, because if you think about it, he could be basically everything Gunther is while simultaneously being a way better promo. Different aesthetic and all, for sure, but he's dominant, beastly European. He doesn't take any shit. He can not only beat the hell out of you, but he can tear you down on the mic. He's maybe the most believable heel in the entire company, if you think about it. How has that guy not had a real world championship run since the pandemic? That to me is crazy.
Yeah, that's been the problem the whole time. And I personally have not viewed Drew McIntyre as a threat for a long time because of that. Like, he signed the new contract when people wondered if he might leave or whatever. But since then, he's just lost to the top guys over and over and over and over. And it's tough because we started the show right as COVID started, and he was the champion, and he did a great job carrying that title through the pandemic. And he's never gotten back there. And it feels like every time they've gotten close, the company's been like, well, maybe not quite. And that's been tough.
Yeah, it is crazy to me that this guy carried the company during that time and did a great job at it. And they just haven't, I don't want to say rewarded him, because he got a fat new contract and he's making good money and he's regularly featured in the main event. Like, for most people, this is totally fine. But for Drew McIntyre, he should be getting more. He's the one dude where it's like, how is he not world champion? Or how hasn't he been world champion recently?
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. All right, let's move over from SmackDown to Raw. Raw opened with The Vision making its way to the ring, but there's actually numerous items I want to mention just from these people walking out. First, Chris, after 8 months, they finally have a logo. Second, they all entered to Braun Breaker's music. So after 8 months, the faction still doesn't have a theme. Third, Austin Theory was along for the ride. And fourth, Breaker, when they came out onto the stage, Breaker individually was under a spotlight with the rest of the guys dark in the background. There's no question he's the front man. That's fine. But that visual looked ridiculous to me, considering Bronson Reed is his partner. Logan Paul is obviously a star outside of WWE, and Austin Theory is a big new addition. It just didn't look right. So again, another situation where it feels like WWE production is just half-assing stuff and not thinking it through. It took like 4 months for them to get a name, 8 months for them to get a logo. They still don't have music, and now the presentation is 100% based around Braun Breaker. That to me is messy, and it's the word inappropriate is not what I'm looking for, but it's not conducive to success for a faction. This should have been fully formed a couple weeks after it was put together.
It's something I feel like wouldn't have happened under Vince McMahon. And we've said this before, where it was like they would wait until you had the right music logo and visual and go with that. And under Triple H, it's very much like, oh, we'll just change it week to week. People getting new music every couple of weeks until we find something that fits. And it becomes difficult to be consistent. I have some other thoughts about this group as a whole. We'll get into the whole segment, but just in general, I'm getting Don Callis vibes from this group.
Okay.
In that, like, there's not a clear overall goal. And they kind of tried to explain that in the promo, which you can explain in a minute. Mm-hmm. But hey, I still feel like they would be better without Heyman. Like, they feel like they're all just kind of following him a bit, but he's also like not totally in charge because they present Braun Breaker first. So I feel like the potential is off the charts here for these guys, but they still don't quite have that that visual and that presentation, which goes into what you were saying.
Yeah, it's weird because Braun Breaker is the youngest of the group, and yet he's the one prominently out in front, which is not problematic. But it would be almost like if you did Evolution, it's different because you're talking about multiple world champions and stuff. But if you did Evolution and at the start, Randy Orton was the guy in front. And it's like, no, it's Triple H because that's the guy, right? And
it still feels like a random collection of guys.
Right. Or actually, you know what? The better example probably would have been if Batista was out in front, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
But regardless, like the apples to apples comparison. But regardless, it's like Flair needed to be in that group, Ric Flair, because he had the gravitas. He had the 17 world championships and he was still wrestling, but he was also like the de facto manager. These guys don't really need Heyman. And even though Heyman has always had an eye on the future of the industry, and that's why he is the right person to be managing them. And that's why it works logically. It just feels like all four of those guys can speak. And generally, if you have a bunch of people who can talk, You don't necessarily need someone to do the talking for them. So to that degree, it's even different than Don Callis, because Don Callis family, they need Don Callis. Very few people in that faction can actually cut a promo or do so in a way that like will build a match. Kyle Fletcher can, but there's very few of them. Here, you got 4 guys that can do it.
But the idea of the Don Callis family is they all take counsel from him, and he gets them stuff.
It's an amalgamation of stars. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what they're kind of doing with Heyman. When the two of them are trying to get in the tournament or whatever, and Heyman's like, no, I'm going to do this. But so we can go into what they
It's just it's a different group. It's a little bit odd, but for me, the presentation is the much bigger issue. That I just want to circle back to that, because again, it's been 8 months now. So even if things have changed, like, can you imagine if it took them 8 months to come up with the name Judgment Day, the thematic elements that they had?
Wait, you mean the name, the Judgment Day?
The name Judgment Day. The thematic elements that go along with it, the black light and the purple and all that. They had their own faction music, and then they altered their individual entrances to all kind of match that theme. They haven't done that with Division. I don't understand.
It's why Judgment Day worked, because the group was bigger than the parts, and that's why this continued to thrive.
Yeah, it's just to your point, this would not have happened under Vince McMahon. 95% of what's happening in WWE is better now than it was a few years ago when he was in charge creative. 95%. The 5% that is not is like stuff like this, the details and the production. They just throw stuff on the wall and they say, that stuck, that didn't, we'll keep that, we'll change this. And then sometimes it never 100% sticks. And it's just under Vince McMahon. The one thing I will say is they got the presentation right a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong. The entrance theme declines and the Titantron changes started under Vince. Let's not pass that. But when someone came out to the ring, you generally knew who they were, and their visual element and their presentation was on point. And with the Vision, it's still not there, which again, just boggles my mind. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
All right, let's talk about what actually happened on Raw. Paul Heyman got infuriated at CM Punk and OTC chants. He said in 5 years, the 4 men in the ring with him would all be WrestleMania main eventers. Heyman declared Theory as the newest member. He took the mic, Theory did, saying his whole life and career has been leading up to this, and he has a lot to say. Let's focus on those words. A lot to say. So he takes the mic and he starts putting over Braun Breaker, who badly needed to trim his beard, by the way. He said he's going to be the next World Heavyweight Champion. And then CM Punk interrupted. He wanted to look in the eye of the man who he was about to put to sleep next week. So they went face-to-face, Punk and Breaker. The rest of the guys dipped out of the ring. Breaker put over the Vision individually, saying they're all focused on the same goal, sick of being called the future when they are the now. Breaker said he's committed to the game and he's born into the industry, but he took it over nevertheless inside of a year. He said he may have gotten the door open for him. He admits that, but he's been under a microscope because of it. And while Punk was wrestling, he was sharing the field with Lamar Jackson. They are not the same. That is actually true. Punk retorted that Breaker is wrong. Punk believes he's more ready than anyone else he's ever seen at his age, but he's not ready, he being Punk, to let go of the championship and stop being the top dog. Then he said that he's CM Punk, so yeah, they're not the same. And while someday he will drop the title and someday he will retire, it won't be now and it won't be to Braun Breaker. As Joe Tessitore said afterward, red hot stick work. This is what we discussed last week. It was a huge positive that Breaker got to cut those 2 promos on his own, because here, face to face, his arms were too short to box with God. That's not to say Braun's promo was poor. Far from it. No, I'm not saying it was bad. It was quite good. But Punk is a master. He completely sunned him. Breaker was visibly nervous. He did well for himself. He calmed himself down. You could tell Punk was really enjoying it. Not seeing Breaker nervous. He was enjoying seeing this guy work it out live. But it is one thing to go head-to-head with Punk on a promo. It is quite another to go first and let Punk retort. He had an answer for everything. He came across as a strong, confident, unwavering champion entering their title match. Those were the positives. My negative is something we discussed last week. Theory badly needed promo time to go deeper into his reasoning and register himself as a valuable member of the Vision. And they told us we were getting that. I have a lot to say. Except he said one thing and got cut off, so we did not hear what he had to say. Given the way Raw is set up, there is no reason that Theory could not have spoken for 2 or 3 minutes, gotten somewhat deep into his lore, whatever he wanted to tell us, and then get interrupted. So for me, that was a huge miss, even though the face-to-face was pretty damn good.
Yes, I would have liked to see more of Theory. It was what it was. I thought Breakker did really well here, and pretty much as well as anybody could expect. He was confident. He wasn't tripping over lines. He made good points. I think he did everything you could have asked for him to do right here. He didn't look scared. He didn't fall back. The only thing is, Punk is so accomplished and Breakker is not, that there's only so much you can say without having done it. So I think Braun Breakker hit the ceiling on what he could here. It's just the ceiling is not as high because the other guy is CM Punk, who's done all these amazing things. So I love this between the two of them. This is what I wanted. I wanted the two of them talk it out, go to each other heading into the match next week. And they did. I thought this was great. Yes, CM Punk came on top at the end because Braun Breakker had to go first and Punk has to retort. Some of that is just structurally, it's kind of all you could do. But given that structure, I thought Braun Breakker was fantastic here. The last couple of weeks on the mic, he's been hitting it out of the park. It's been exactly what you've wanted in these high profile situations, and he's done it. That's been awesome.
Yeah, this spoke to me as the last 3 weeks, but this in particular, prove that you should be a main eventer.
Yes.
And it's a sink or swim situation. He has swam. I don't believe, we'll do at the end of the show, maybe a very brief preview of the January 5th Raw. We'll give some predictions for the matches. If we think titles are changing, whatever the case. I don't think he's going to become champion next week. I would be very, very surprised if that's what happens. It's not impossible. I just don't think it's going to happen. But this was yes, I deserve to be there. Yes, I can handle the main event and be on my own, so that in 2026, whether it's at WrestleMania, whether it's at SummerSlam, whatever the case, he's going to be a world heavyweight champion next year. I'm pretty confident of that.
And I want to say, the way Punk handled it is the right way to handle it too. You can tear a guy down a bit, but also build him up and say, I'm going to lose this title, but it won't be to you. Compare that to John Cena, Austin Theory, when Cena's entire bit was about how you haven't lived up to what you should be. You're terrible, this and that. It was two completely different vibes. We came out of that being wow, Cena kind of buried Theory.
Oh, yeah.
Can he get out of it? And he didn't. He won the match, but he didn't really get out of that. And I think that stuck with him. And I think it's a credit to Punk to not, I guess, go that far. Because you don't want to tear a guy down so much that it's ultimately a bigger deal than what happens in the match. And I think that happened with Cena Theory.
No, totally right. This was very similar. I mean, we did a AEW mention already. Very similar to the CM Punk, Ricky Starks. I almost called him Ricky Saints, but Ricky Starks feud back in AEW, where you could see Punk beaming that this young guy he likes is measuring up. And if you really looked at his face, and when you saw Braun talk, you saw him smile and be yeah, he's got it. I can see it happening right in front of me. So that was a really, really cool moment. And no, yeah, he didn't bury him by any means. I was just saying, look, Punk is Punk. You're going up against him. You have to meet his ability, because even if he slows down and calms himself and gives you a chance, gives you an opening, he's still going to come over the top to some degree. He's not going to lose. And he definitely did not lose here. That's what I'm getting at. That's all. Punk later dapped up Rey Mysterio backstage, reminding that he had his back against the Vision later in the show. Mysterio thanked him, said, "Hey man, stay backstage. Don't come out and help me. Protect your health. I have called in a favor. I have my own backing for this match." The Vision later backstage officially welcomed Theory into the fold, one by one, saying they now have his back going forward. Logan in particular put him over, so Heyman suggested they go to the ring together for Theory's match. This was nothing huge, but I felt this moment with the Vision was necessary, though, considering the way Theory is being positioned as someone who made these moves on his own. So now he's actually being accepted. It's not like he's just there. These guys all individually decided, yes, we want you. You helped us out. We trust you and we believe in you. It also plays into Theory potentially being that double agent, getting them one by one on his side. And now you see, everyone's bought in. Is there going to be that ultimate reversal? It may not happen, but it also might in 2026. So successful segments, were they, amazing or anything? No, they're just normal storytelling.
Agree. Solid.
So then we had Mysterio and Theory later in the show. Theory got new entrance music, which was completely necessary considering his new character. The overall production and visuals of this I thought were perfect. The song sounded like a solid track, but for me, and maybe it was just me, the lyrics were inaudible and there was nowhere near enough bass or thumping to it. It sounded like a test version of a track that was 50% completed, if you know what I mean. If you've ever like watched music creation videos or like rappers in the studio, you'll see they put something together and it gets halfway there. You're like, oh wow, that's how that song actually sounded. And then they put all the rest of the musicians, tweaks behind it and all the musical elements and the bass and whatever. You're like, oh my God, that's a great song. It felt like this was at the 50% point where it sounds like it's good. The lyrics seem to be good, but I couldn't understand them and it just didn't thump. It didn't hit me. And it was very Ruthless Aggression era hard rock, which I know you like. So that's positive.
Yes. I thought this was great. Like this is what I want this type of character to have as his entrance music. And I had the captions on Netflix. It's called "Remember the Name" by Def Rebel. So it's one of their things. I've gone back and listened to it.
That's a Linkin Park song. The title.
No, no. Remember the Name. It's not Linkin Park. It's the
No, I know, but I'm saying, isn't "Remember the Name" a very famous Linkin Park song? Am I crazy?
No, not Linkin Park. It's the one
20%. Fort Minor. Sorry, Fort Minor. Sorry. Fort Minor and Linkin Park. I always do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Fort Minor. Still.
Yeah, Fort Minor song. That's what when I saw the name, I was like, that's what it kind of sounds like. But that's also kind of what the song sounded like. Well, I don't know if I need to hear more or not. I liked it. It's kind of like the first time I heard AJ get his new theme at WrestleMania 40. I was like, whoa, I couldn't quite make out all of it, but like, I like the vibe of this. And like the LA Knight theme, I thought they then put too much into it when they kind of changed it to a metal guitar away from the synth and started putting more drum over that. I was like, this is too much. I like for a wrestling theme to be a little bit simpler. So I haven't listened to the whole thing. I've looked for it. I hope it gets up at some point. But one of my big takeaways from the last two shows of wrestling was like, whoa, I think I really dig Austin Theory's new theme. It adds a lot to his visual and his character. That whole entrance, all of it, made him feel like a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's what every pro wrestling entrance is supposed to do. So will they tweak it? You need to hear it more or whatever. But for a first time, I was like, whoa, I think they have something here.
It is a legit main event level entrance if they complete it. If they got to get the song all the way there. And I mean, the visuals of it were right. Like they killed it. It was the opposite actually of the Vision entrance because this was perfect, except for the song just for me wasn't complete. And by the way, like I understand the correction because you were right. It's not Linkin Park. It's Fort Minor, but it's a Mike Shinoda group. I mean, it's the same frontman of both. Like, what are we doing?
Okay.
Like, it's his side project. It always was like, that's why it gets put together in my head. It's probably both on my iPhone on, all under the same situation. But all right, regardless, let's get back to the wrestling. Top tier sell by Theory early in this match. Ray countered a torture rack bomb into a tornado DDT. Theory stood on his head. Ray landed a 619, but when he went for the slingshot splash, Logan pulled his legs for the disqualification. Penta returned. He made the save in street clothes, which was quite a sight, by the way. Penta hurricanranaed Logan into Theory, and Ray hit a 619 with Penta clearing the ring. I could have sworn they were going to save the Penta return for the Royal Rumble, but I suppose they have something in the plans for him over the next few months. Maybe Ray Phoenix comes over to Raw finally, and they team with Ray to fight the Vision for a month-long feud. Normally, I would complain about the DQ. Theory just beat Mysterio last week, and he beat him twice previously in singles matches. I'm not saying Ray needed to be protected, but you know what? It's probably better for Ray to not lose every single time he fights Austin Theory. So I actually thought it was kind of important to end it this way. It set up those future feuds I was mentioning. That's my guess, the direction they're going. Probably like Theory, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul against Rey Mysterio, Penta, and Ray Phoenix. I could see that happening. Theory got time to work. We got his first entrance. This was, 90% positive, I would say.
Yes, and huge pop for Penta, by the way.
Oh, God. Yeah.
When his music hit and everything, that's a great sign because he's someone whose entrance they kind of changed a lot, when he first started. And so for that to hit the way it did, big time, that was good. I always like when Penta's not in wrestling gear, but still has the mask and everything on. It's such a great bit. I had wondered when Logan interfered. My first thought was, wait, was that supposed to happen that way? I wasn't sure if he was supposed to interfere, but the referee saw it, and so they kind of had to audible. I was thinking back to your review of AEW World's End and the interferences that the referee had to like try to like pretend he didn't see.
Yeah.
So I first wondered, I was like, oh wait, did the ref call DQ because he had to? But I think not, kind of looking back at it. But I was like, oh, another Vision DQ, surprise, surprise. It's kind of what happens. The only thing is that this isn't the main event of the show. But like you said, we already got it. It set up the return. So like it went somewhere. It wasn't just an interference. So I liked it.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked. And, overall, I would say a solid night for the Vision, right? Like we got some pieces of what we wanted, but man, I know we're not going to get it on the January 5th show because it's so jam-packed, but January 12th, I would really like Austin Theory to cut a promo. I really like to hear all those other things he said he had to say. Or if you're not going to do it, at least publish it on social media and have him cut like a selfie promo and lay it all out there for us. That way you can air a couple clips of it on TV next week or the week after. Like, we got to hear from this guy. You're bringing him back. You're telling us he's a big deal. Okay, make him a big deal. Because right now, like, you're 50% of the way there. It's working, but you got to complete the mission. And right now, they haven't completed the mission when it comes to Austin Theory. Chris, we got plenty of show left, a ton to cover still here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. I do need to remind everyone that here on the show,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you all do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. We're also looking at some additional benefits in 2026, but we are a one sponsor show here on Getting Over. This is truly how you can support us. 5-star reviews and joining us at buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. We would greatly appreciate your financial support, and we love delivering the extra content into your ear holes and I guess onto your eyes as well, because we do those news posts every Friday. All right, tons to talk about from Raw and SmackDown. We got a lot left to cover here, and we're going to do it by reviewing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Jimmy Uso tried to get Jay pumped for their title match, but Jay refused to be roused in the locker room. He said nothing's been going right for him recently, and he's worried about dragging Jimmy down with him. Jimmy reminded about everything they've accomplished together and what Jay has done individually. Jay said he loved Jimmy, but he still had a mostly blank look in his eyes. Javon Evans then got a segment with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, with the champions putting him over. Los Americanos interrupted them, with El Grande trying to run him down. Dragon basically said that they got Javon's back, and El Grande said that they will see them soon. Dragon then translated off screen, which was actually kind of funny. Regarding the Usos, just a bit of a confirmation that WWE has indeed not moved away from what they were doing with Jay's character. That's a huge positive. As I've said before, he is far more interesting in that role because there are myriad ways they can book him like that. Setting up Javon to get rubbed from AJ and Dragon, that was a huge positive. And potentially having all three of them work with Los Americanos, that sounds like a good match. So good character work, nice match setup. This worked.
It worked, and it's the kind of thing that it makes the whole show feel alive when you have people who aren't just in a story with each other interacting backstage. Good stuff.
Yeah, there were a lot of commercial break segments and promos, so I'm going to read a couple of them to you as we go throughout this segment. One of them had New Day and Grayson Waller. Kofi Kingston was sporting really new thick dreadlocks, saying everyone in the main event would be losers, just like everyone in Orlando. They said AJ and Dragon killed the tag team division, but the Usos winning the titles would send it to hell. These guys look incredible, both Kofi and Xavier Woods. They continue to cut really strong promos that get heat, yet no one in the United States gets to see them because not only does WWE not show them on the US broadcast, they're just refusing to post them on social media, which I simply do not understand. This is going to happen with another person later that was even more important. To me, it is silly that WWE does not share this socially at a minimum, but it's truly ridiculous that New Day never gets to speak on television. They are cutting these awesome promos. The crowd is giving them so much heat. maybe not, turning on Big E level, but pretty, freaking close to it many weeks. And you would not know it because you don't get to see it. And that is why the Silver King, whether it is Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or premium live events on Netflix, I am all in these days with NordVPN. It is easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience. You get to see all of these segments, and with WWE, you get high quality streams and commercial free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover. You open the app, quick connect to another country like Canada, United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch this show. NordVPN also allows you to get around online censorship or surveillance, protect your private data when web browsing, and avoid online threats. Plus, one NordVPN account can be used on 10 devices. So get the best discount from NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there is no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, watch all of this extra content, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN. nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love having them as the official singular sponsor of your boys right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. And I'll be honest, I meant to do that much later in the show, but considering this was a segment that none of you could actually see, it was the perfect time for us to do it. Let's get to the World Tag Team Championships. Phenomenal Lee defending against the Usos. This main evented. And I just need to say before we get going, it's not only stupid, it is straight up insulting to Jimmy Chris that these guys are coming out to main event-ish, the Jey Uso theme, as opposed to done with that, the Usos theme. They're an all-time great tag team. The theme is almost identical, and it is an all-time great tag team theme. Jey is not solo anymore, so the lyrics don't make sense. I'm fed up with it. They got to go back.
So my brother texted me that too during the show, and my guess is that they just don't get the same crowd reaction with everybody eating when it's the Usos song. That's the only thing I can think of, because they have gone back to the Usos.
It's the same cadence though. They could still yeet to it.
I know, but maybe a lot of the younger fans and the people into it don't really remember it from several years ago, and they've become more accustomed to the Jey one. I think it's weird. I wish they would stick with the Usos, but just in terms of like why they would do this, that is the only reason I can think of. Is that when it's the Usos theme, they don't feel queued up to, yeet essentially, and when it's Jey's, they do. That's my guess.
Main event Jey Uso is now in your city. It's just me, Us. Day 1-ish. And then it's Jey. I line them all up and knock them down like this. No, it's not Jey. It's Jey and Jimmy. It's the Usos.
I know.
All right, so the Usos took some shortcuts, and they clearly worked the heel side of the match, but the fans did not care at all. Jey struggled to get up for Dragon's flip over Liger Bomb. Jimmy then prevented a tope, throwing him into the steel steps. Styles caught Jimmy with a phenomenal forearm off the steel steps before Jey seemingly eliminated AJ with a tope suicida. He told Jimmy, me and you, all right, me and you. Dragon hit his hanging double stomp on Jimmy. AJ got a hot tag, but Jey superkicked Dragon off the apron and hit Styles with a spear before Jimmy landed Uso splash for a false finish. Dragon took out Jimmy with a crazy tope suicida cannonball. He just jetted himself out of the ring over the announce table. Styles then caught Jey with a Pele kick and a Styles clash for a false finish. Perfect kick out by Jey, by the way, 2.9. The champions went for the slingshot Styles clash, but Jimmy interrupted. AJ got caught springboarding with a stereo super kick. Dragon took a stereo super kick, and then he ate 1D. And despite being in the ring, AJ was unable to recover in time to save, and we had new tag team champions crowned to end 2025. At first, I thought they pinned the wrong guy, but I actually rewound. Dragon had been tagged in blind. It was interesting the way Styles was inches from Lee but couldn't save him. That was some tremendous selling. And the high energy finish, it ended the year on a fantastic note. Enhanced by Joe Tessitore, who raised his energy in concert with the crowd and slam dunked the title change. This is a top 2 or 3 match call in his WWE career at this point, and it was so damn well done that we're going to play it for you right now.
Forearm is in. Stereo super kick. They won it. They get it. The Usos. They did it. Number 9 is
Shout out to Lisa Cielo, too. She's cool.
The Usos! 2025 goes out with a one-day championship bang on top of the world again, Barrett.
A sports commentator, maybe by trade, a wrestling announcer by nature. Joe Tessitore was made for professional wrestling, man. I know, I don't know if he hears this or not, or if he ever will, but look, he can keep calling college football and NFL and MLB and anything he's ever done in his entire career. He might be at his best doing WWE boxing. He's also great at too, but WWE, man, he just nails it.
Yeah, he was always. You knew he was going to be perfect for that from the moment he got there. And in the match itself, this was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
This was an absolutely fantastic match. Both these teams were awesome. Really grew on Styles and Dragon Lee as they kind of went on. And this is why. Like, you give the guy, that's the one thing about both these shows, SmackDown and Raw, because a lot of them were taped and had different things. Just fewer matches that sometimes went longer. And in almost every case, I think the matches got over more because of that. And they got some time here to really put in a fantastic match. And like, it was just another reminder of like, the Usos really are one of the best tag teams like to ever do it.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just a WWE thing giving them a record for longest reign and whatnot. No, they legitimately are one of the greatest tag teams of all time and have a case to be number one. Because they just, every single time they bring you in, have a fantastic match, and especially when you're up against AJ and Dragon Lee, like, you knew it was going to be good. And this is just, it's been a nice reminder the last couple of weeks of how good the Usos were and are and should be remembered historically.
Great.
I guess I'll say good.
Yeah, I guess. Once this was announced as the main event, and once we saw AJ and Dragon get into it with Los Americanos, to me it became crystal clear a title change was happening. WWE loves changing titles on their final shows on a calendar year. One on SmackDown, one on Raw. They did it this year again. I want to say they did it last year also. The dynamic of Jimmy bringing out the best of Jay, that was well done, not only backstage before the match, but during the bout as it transpired. The wrestling was on point. Both false finishes were perfect. There's only 2 of them, so they didn't overdo it. And the moment itself, the title change definitely hit. It makes more sense for Jay to crash out when they drop the titles eventually. And as we always say, a storied tag team like them should usually get the best of a couple stars, especially when you're baby faces and you're big time players. Plus, Jay is just so much better in a tag team, so much better. This was an easy good 4.25 stars and an A. And in terms of tag team titles and tag teams being recognized by WWE, the Usos stand second only to Harlem Heat. They won 10 times in WCW. That means the Usos have the longest tag team title reign in WWE history, and they are 2 victories away from having the most tag team title wins. Chris, as you just said, I'm going to kind of repeat it. It's fair to say they're the greatest tag team in WWE history, and there's a legitimate argument, I agree, that they are the best of all time, or at least among the best of all time.
Yeah, I mean, like, the argument would be, the Hardy Boys were more influential.
Sure.
And, Edge and Christian had individual world title runs themselves, and the Dudley Boys, across so many different
Legion of Doom and Road Warriors, All-Timers, Rock and Roll Express.
Midnight Road Warriors, Express. A lot of those older teams, the Steiners, across like
Steiner Brothers
promotions and stuff like that. And like
Harlem Heat, by the way, Harlem Heat also.
Yeah, like the Usos really kind of only started to, I think, get that respect like with the Bloodline and what they did in there and everything kind of coming out of that. So it's a bit of a different path, but just bell to bell as a team, the team stuff that they do is just among the best we've ever seen. And I wonder if they're actually going to lean into at some point that idea of most tag team, like John Cena, 16, 17, Ric Flair, all this stuff. I didn't even know Harlem Heat was number 1 until you said that. I don't know if there's a recognized record, like if somebody else, I don't know, but that's interesting. And it's something it should be a storyline at some point in the future.
It should be. I highly doubt that WWE has ever mentioned that on TV, but they do recognize WCW titles and they won those 10 times. So, I mean, they're number 1 and Usos are second at 9. And I mean, that's incredibly impressive in its own right. It's also crazy when you think about all the incarnations that they have gone through. Like it was the face paint, Haka, Usos. Then it was, then like Uso Penitentiary further down the line. And now it's this new Yeet and Big Jim version, which I don't even know what you want to call it, but outside the bloodline on their own again type of situation. So yeah, it's just been awesome to see. Also, Chris, I hope that this is the finalization of a course correction for the World Tag Team titles. Styles and Dragon, they did a great job leveling them up. Now there is a real chance to have a real tag team division on Raw, especially if you get the Lucha Brothers reforming. You would have Penta and Phoenix, New Day, and the Usos all on one brand. 3 of the best tag teams in the world if you bring Phoenix over. You add a couple more, just guys who can get beat and go in and out of the division, and you have no excuses but to have a real tag team division. They are so freaking close. They got to follow through with that.
It's kind of why, like, I don't even want this Jay storyline and what he's going through. I love him as a tag team.
Yeah.
I'd like them to just keep doing tag team stuff. We don't need another breakup. Build up this division, because if the Wyatt Six are going to keep holding the other belts, there's no hope for developing a tag team division over on SmackDown anymore. So at least do it on Raw.
I could be wrong. I am pretty sure we theorized this. I think we said like months ago when Jay and Jimmy get back together, it was when Jimmy got brought back over to Raw. We said, you put them back in the tag team division, they win those titles, and this division is going to take off. And at the end of 2025, it is at least possible, whereas throughout the rest of the year, that was not at all possible because this division was firmly in the dumps. Now, I mentioned there were title changes on both shows, and as great as this tag team title swap was on Raw, something else happened on SmackDown. United States Championship was on the line. Ilya Dragunov defending against Carmelo Hayes. There was a scheduled open challenge. But Dragunov, he found Hayes backstage, gave him props for their first battle, the tag team win last week. He said the open challenge was closed because he was giving Melo another opportunity. Dragunov missed a flying senton. Hayes countered an H-bomb attempt with a leaping kick and a springboarding blind DDT for a false finish. Ilya avoided nothing but net and landed Constantine's special with a flying senton chaser. Dragunov caught first 48 midair, seating him on the top rope. They exchanged strong-style chops to the jaw and neck, but Ilya similarly countered nothing but net with a leaping kick. Ilya added a superplex, but Melo lifted his knees to block the H-bomb, only for Dragunov to hit a jump kick onto his body and a spike slam for a false finish. Hayes' chest was all bruised, having taken a bunch of chops. He countered another superplex attempt midair into a cutter that got a huge pop. The result was a 2.9 false finish that made the crowd literally scream in shock. I have not heard a reaction like that to a false finish in a long time. Like utter disbelief that didn't end the match. Dragunov blocked a slingshot DDT on the apron. He chopped and headbutted Hayes before hitting a Death Valley driver on the hardest part of the ring. Ilya tried a coast-to-coast, but Melo caught him midair with first 48, landed nothing but net to win the United States Championship to a massive, massive ovation. Dragunov stole the title away from the referee. He not only physically strapped up Hayes, but he personally raised his arm, pointed to him like 6 different times to put him over. Hayes got a post-match promo in which he said he was delayed but not denied. He thanked Dragunov for elevating the championship and elevating him, and reminded that Melo is him. He promised the jerseys are going back in the rafters, saying the division belongs to him, when all of a sudden, Johnny Gargano attacked him from behind, threw him into a road case, blamed Melo for what happened in the tag team match last week. Perfection achieved. For the heavy criticism SmackDown Creative has deservingly received from us, especially over the last 4 months, the booking of Melo, taking him from a guy the crowd hardly cared about to a babyface overcoming the most dominant in-ring performer on the roster to become champion. It was masterful. Consider that it was all accomplished inside of a month. That's what quality booking can do. On November 21st, he beat Bronson Reed. 3 days later, he lost to Gunther in a banger. And now he's not only United States champion, but a deserving U.S. champion who is actually over with the crowd. 1 month, 5 total matches. You got to give credit where it's due. These guys wrestled their asses off and beat the shit out of each other. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands. The false finishes were great. And the way the ending built to a crescendo, you could literally see the fans understand what was about to happen in front of them before it even transpired. Ilya took a squeaky clean loss, yet came out of it without being dinged at all because he wrestled so well and he went out on his shield after doing the job in a star-making match. That's what this was. And then Melo got a post-match promo where he got a huge pop when he showed up on the Titantron. That set up his next feud. The only way it could have been executed better is if it was live, so I could watch the wrestling during the breaks that we missed. And if the result was not spoiled for me on Friday morning, it would have been even better. That sucked for me personally. These guys crushed it. SmackDown Creative got something right for once. 4.5 stars, A, and obviously good.
Yeah, definitely good. They did a good job building this over the last couple of weeks and setting up in a position where people wanted it to happen, even against another face. And it happened, and you got the pop that they wanted. Like, that was and it was an awesome match, of course, as you knew it would be between them. So Melo has finally moved up after a year plus of not really knowing what they were kind of doing with him. They have found the time, and it has worked, and people are into it, and all great. My only question, as we look back at Dragunov's run as U.S. champion, do we feel like he got enough out of it?
It's a good question, because I would have liked to have seen him beat bigger names. He wrestled
exactly. That was my thought too. I would like give him some wins over some really established guys that really kind of set him as a big deal. Like, I don't know where they are, but like Sheamus or I don't know, like some guys
Damian
like that.
Priest, Aleister Black. Like, there's guys on that brand that he could just beat and it would be okay. It's tough because in one breath, we say all the time, or at least I say all the time, that when you have tag teams like DIY or Fraxium, where both guys can go individually and they've had success in singles, then splitting them up and allowing them to work singles while simultaneously working tag team matches, that is what you should do to fill out your men's division in particular.
Yeah.
And yet, then they do it here, which is exactly what I've wanted. And we say, well, Dragunov didn't beat enough big names. The truth is, there's a in between. There's a happy medium. It would be nice if he beat Ciampa and Gargano and Nathan Frazier, but he also should have defeated a Damian Priest, or he should have defeated an Aleister Black, or someone of that level to prove that he does belong in that upper echelon.
I think what we got out of his run is that he is a great wrestler who can put on awesome matches. And that's that I'm not saying his run was a failure by any means. It was a success, and Melo taking it from him is a sign of all of that. I just think could have done a little bit more to help Dragunov in this process. Like they clearly like him. We know he's talented. Yeah. We come away with it like really, really respecting him. As with many things that we nitpick after the fact, you think, oh man, if they'd only done a couple of this, like really could have gone up another level.
Yeah, it feels like they got 80% of the way there with him. I mean, the fans responded to him. There's no question. So
yes,
they did succeed in getting him over. But is he as mega over as he possibly could have been? I don't know. I think him losing to Melo and putting him over the way he did is going to actually benefit him to a degree, because it's allowing the fans to see, wow, this is a really good guy. And he's a babyface. And he went out on his shield and he did all the things that a babyface is supposed to do. So, we'll see. But it's going to be really interesting, because you're going to have, Melo presumably beat like The Miz. I would assume they go back to that and do a couple other things.
Gargano.
Yeah, like Gargano certainly in a scheduled match. We'll talk about that momentarily. And it's like maybe Dragunov should have gotten some of those as well. But we'll see. I mean, he got Gargano obviously, but like a Miz level type of dude.
I mean, he won the title off of Sami Zayn, right?
He did win the title off of Sami Zayn. That's a great point.
That was the one. That was the big one that kind of established him for sure. Do we think the open challenge is going to continue or not?
So that's a really good question. I was actually going to mention that. So the Gargano attack was good, and it was a storyline driven setup for Melo's first feud. I don't think he's going to continue the US Open Challenge. And as a new guy, I feel like it wouldn't be as believable for him to win one match a week. And plus, the lower level challengers are running out. Like Gargano, Ciampa, like they've gone through these guys already. If they did use Black and Priest, and he would need to beat them, then sure, they could do that. But I think the move with Melo, because no one, Sammy did it, and then Ilya did it, and part of what got Ilya over was saying, hey, I'm going to keep this going. But now we're pretty removed from Cena, and I think you can get away with not doing it and having Melo just do feuds. But he has to be consistently, but he's got to be on TV every week, either in a major backstage segment or a match. Like, It's okay not to do the open challenge, but he needs to be on that show every single week.
You have to have feuds ready and good feuds ready. And because the nice thing about the US Open Challenge is a crutch in some ways, but it gives you a natural story every time.
Yep.
It's a short story, but there's something there. And if it's just Melo goes into a storyline and it feels like it doesn't matter if he has the belt or not, he's just in a feud, that's not great.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Totally agree. Two other notes here real quick. I want to just say tremendous US Open run that Dragunov did, as you kind of surmised there. He had 9 singles matches since returning, and all of them were bangers. He got talent over, spotlighted guys who deserve time in the sun individually, proved again he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. I believe he is a live contender for Comeback Wrestler of the Year in the 2025 Getting Over Awards, a.k.a.
the Meaties.
Problem is, I think John Cena is going to be nominated in that category too. So even though Dragunov might be a deserving winner, I don't know that he's going to actually take it. I also wanted to point out, because I shouted this out on Raw, commentary and production were fully on point. I've given production, specifically on this episode, a lot of grief, all of which has been deserved. But WWE spent like 4 to 5 minutes on the post-match. It allowed cameras to linger on Melo's celebration. They obviously did the backstage segment afterward. That is how you put over a new champion versus just cutting away. And then, one second, and then commentary. Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they were awesome here. From the onset of the match, they told us like 3 times, this is do or die for Melo. It's his 3rd chance getting the title. How can he say Melo don't miss if he always misses? They were on it from the opening bell all the way through the finish. They did a great job of putting over Dragunov's defenses and his total reign. So commentary was on point. And again, production allowing the celebration to breathe. So important. And they did it.
And I think your point about letting it breathe, I think that's something that doesn't happen if this is not a taped show on a multiple taping thing.
Yeah.
Which is what I was saying before, like they had fewer matches, but they were longer matches. And that helped. And I think normally he'd win. You might do something quick and then you cut to some other segment because you're cramming so much more into the show. And we know SmackDown's going back to 3 hours again, which I don't necessarily love. But what it does is it gives more people time without feeling like you have to rush in between everything.
Don't forget, the best SmackDown in 2025, the best run of shows, was when it was 3 hours.
I think that's probably true.
It is, because they were featuring the tag team division. They got like 45 minutes an episode. And you're like, oh, wow, there's a lot of talent here. And then when it went back to 2 hours, it disappeared. And when the Wyatt Six came back simultaneously.
It's also, was that also Lyra Valkyria IC title?
No, that was Raw.
Was that Raw? That was Raw. Yeah. But you're right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on from the men. Raquel Rodriguez was in the middle of a pre-match promo when Liv Morgan interrupted, saying they're all on the same page, wanting her to walk out as champion. She said Roxanne Perez has an idea, but Raquel dismissed that, saying she didn't want any help. Perez then came in, I guess, wanting to reiterate that they're all on the same page, but Rodriguez said she didn't need good luck, and she left for the ring as Liv started petting Roxy's hair, almost like she was manipulating her or that Roxy was fully under her wing. And that's actually an interesting direction if they choose to go that way, because Raquel, you'll remember, was reluctant to accept Roxy at first. But if Liv is all about her and gains her trust, that could be part of what they do for splitting up the faction. That said, Rodriguez is really the linchpin, and she's a really important piece to be used alongside them. But I appreciated the bonus storytelling before the match. It created some intrigue as to whether they help against Raquel's wishes or they don't. And Rodriguez is angry that she didn't have backing. So I thought this was good.
Agree on all those points.
Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquer defending against Raquel Rodriguez and Nikki Bella in a triple threat. Raquel caught Nikki flying for a crossbody. Then she had Stephanie in an interesting submission and shoulder press pinning combination, which Vaquer broke by literally standing on her head. Nikki wound up locking Raquel in an STFU with fans chanting, "Thank you, Cena," and Bella yelling back, "No, thank me."
Oh, yes, I love that.
And by the way, Nikki Bella.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, "Hey now."
Rodriguez.
Yeah, she came out in the green instead of the normal red and black. I don't know if it was for Philadelphia Eagles.
No, that's what they said. It was green and silver for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So yeah, and,
possibly Cooper DeJean reference. We'll find out if that's actually true, but that's the rumor going around. Rodriguez countered into.
Wait. Sorry, I was talking to. What did you say?
There's a rumor going around that she is dating Cooper DeJean.
Okay. That's what I thought. It's Cooper DeJean.
Is it DeJean?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, wait, did I hear? I thought you said Deshaun.
It shouldn't be. I mean, with the way that name is spelled, it shouldn't be, but okay. DeJean?
Yeah. But
okay.
I had no idea that was a rumor, and now I'm Googling it, and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's and he's I forgot he's only 22.
You know,
Cooper, he was at Iowa.
Cooper DeJean 2 games ago did the 5-knuckle shuffle celebration on a pick. It was either pick 6 or a pick. I think it was just a pick. He did a 5-knuckle shuffle celebration in the ring. I don't think they're shading Cena. I think it's purely respect, but it's pretty interesting that they're doing it. That's all I'm saying.
I was totally unaware of this rumor, and that's interesting for a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's true, good for them.
Oh, yeah. Good for you know what? Good for him. And I'd say good for her too. Landing a 22-year-old, but man, it's good for
22-year-old NFL player. Like,
yeah, but I mean, good for Cooper DeJean. All right. Rodriguez countered into a figure 4 leg lock, so Vaquer took advantage by turning her over in a devil's kiss that simultaneously resulted in a reversed figure 4. Stephanie followed with a pair of dragon screws. They look incredible the way she does that move. Raquel sold a knee. Rodriguez hit her twisting Vader bomb during the break. Vaquer then had her in an armbar over the rope, so Bella straight drop kicked Stephanie to the floor. There was a dumb spot where Raquel and Nikki were fighting on the ropes, so Stephanie climbed the turnbuckles to get herself superplexed. That did not make any sense for Vaquer to do that. Stephanie caught Nikki with her new SVB for a broken fall. Rodriguez later missed the same Vader bomb with Bella moving into a crucifix pin false finish. Raquel then grabbed both competitors for a double Tejana bomb, but Stephanie slid down. She threw Rodriguez out of the ring after she hit the Tejana bomb on Nikki, and then Stephanie covered Nikki to retain the title. Quality match. It went about 18 minutes. And actually, in a rarity, it got sloppier in the finish than it was when it started. I'm not sure if that's because Raquel and Nikki got tired or what was going on, but they were running hot until the final few moments. Vaquer was obviously the MVP. Rodriguez continued to flash improvement from earlier this year. However, she needs to learn to lay her strikes in stronger. There were 3 different times during this match where she meekly hit or clotheslined someone. I'm not suggesting she should, go in heavy and hurt her coworkers, but she needs to be more impactful. She has to stop worrying that her clothesline is going to hurt her competitor. This was a match that at one point I was saying to myself, this might be an A match. It never got there though, for the aforementioned reasons. All 3 did well. Vaquer retaining was the obvious and necessary move, as was Bella taking the fall. Protecting Rodriguez with her finisher being the thing that won the match. That was pretty smart. And by the way, since I didn't say it, Nikki did quite well here. She's been on point recently. It seems like she just had extended ring rust because her last 2 matches have been bangers. 3.5 stars, B, and this was good.
Yeah, really solid. And like I mentioned before, like everybody got time over SmackDown and Raw. It made the matches feel bigger and more impactful when they ended. And yeah, a bit sloppy at the end, but I thought everybody showed out very well here. Good match. The result is what it is. I wasn't surprised that Vaquer retained, but yeah, this was good.
So Finn Balor cut a commercial break promo. And again, most of you listening to this, because the majority of our audience is in the United States, you missed it.
You tweeted about this, and I didn't know. I was like, did I miss something on the show?
Yeah, you did. Everyone did. So normally I would just tell you what he said and then whatever. But since I was able to find the clip, I'm actually going to play for you what WWE would not on broadcast and did not on social media.
You know what, Byron? 2025 has been a difficult year for the Judgment Day. Let's start with tonight. Raquel Rodriguez was unsuccessful in bringing championship gold home to the clubhouse. On top of that, my best friend JD McDonough's out hurt. And the icing on the cake, I just found out today that Dirty Dominic Mysterio is now out injured indefinitely. But it's the holiday season. It's a time for hope. And it got me thinking. Got me thinking about my time here in Orlando. Got me thinking about my time here in NXT. It got me thinking about how I reached down, how I picked up that brand, how I put it on my back, and how I single-handedly carried it into the future. Now, we all know there's no leaders in the Judgment Day, but I'm going to do what I've done time and time before. I'm going to reach down. I'm going to help up JD. I'm going to pick up Dominic. I'm going to put the entire group on my back, and I'm going to single-handedly carry us all into the future, because in 2026, Finn Balor is bringing championship gold home to the Judgment Day.
I mean, that is the most extended promo time he has gotten individually in, 2 years? And he got a great promo. He got the crowd behind him. It was kind of a babyface promo, right? There's cheering for him at the end. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous that this didn't air on TV, especially considering the proclamation that he made at the end. In 2026, Finn Balor is bringing championship gold home to the Judgment Day. And again, it wasn't posted on social media either. It makes no sense to me why WWE does not do that. In terms of what Balor said, considering he's the only healthy man left in the interim, it was a pretty important statement. As far as the championship proclamation, let me be clear. He did not specify a world title. And really, for Balor, that's the only title that matters. We know he can win mid-card gold. He's done it many times since he relinquished the Universal Championship in 2016. And he probably should win the Intercontinental title at some point. That will be nice. The world title is what matters. And I still, even after this, highly doubt that is happening. I have been beaten down, and the will to believe in Finn Balor has completely left my body. Was this a great segment? It absolutely was. Do I hope that he wins that world title? I absolutely do. And the other thing I'll mention, because you guys only heard this, you can look at it, of course, on our social media at Getting Overcast. But Chris, he was wearing a suit that was very similar to the suit he wore that night he relinquished the Universal title. Black jacket, white shirt, no tie. That happened in 2016. It is now 2026, 10 years later. Is it possible that they are planning in August for him to win the world championship on the 10-year anniversary of the time he had to relinquish it? Not saying it's going to happen. The timing is interesting. This was definitely good.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop yourself. You know what you're doing.
I already said I'm not believing. I'm just saying it's possible. That's all. It's not really possible.
You are slowly getting your hopes up.
No, I'm not.
And I'm
not
telling you, don't do it.
Not going to happen.
Hey, would be great. Finn Balor's awesome. He's a legend. It's kind of been shocking for the last, basically since he lost that SummerSlam match to Seth that I was at the SummerSlam that he lost to Seth Rollins when Priest and the briefcase and all that stuff. That was the moment we thought it was going to happen in that match. I was there. And ever since then, he's kind of been an afterthought, and it's too bad because I feel like you can still get a lot out of him, but
you can't.
Is what it is. And unless something more happens, then I'll start to think about it, but I don't want to get my hopes up.
Great for the promo?
Good.
Charlotte Flair fought Lash Legend. They basically wore identical gear, Charlotte in light purple and Lash in light blue. Flair really enjoyed being able to get the crowd cheering for her. Legend thankfully booted her head off when she did the cartwheel, clothesline attempt, and she stopped in the middle of the ring. That move is so stupid. Charlotte then hit a moonsault, but didn't stay positioned on the cover, changing her cover after the count started for no reason whatsoever, like a rookie. Nia Jax distracted, and Charlotte did not fall into the middle turnbuckle like she was supposed to. Lash found her in the corner, and Flair caught her in a rolling pinning combination for the win. While there was nothing inherently wrong with this, as you can tell by my breakdown, it was so poorly wrestled. I just have no choice but to give it a bad. Legend is slow and plodding in the ring. She looks like she's hitting spots in a play. I'm not going to say they brought her up to the main roster too soon, because at this point, it shit or get off the pot with her. But she should be working much crisper, especially against someone like Charlotte. Legend and Flair, they were both slow here. Lash was clearly struggling to find any flow in the match. And while I didn't expect her theme to change on a tape show, I will reiterate, that is also horrendous.
So I had thought coming in like, oh, these are two of the most athletic and kind of powerful women WWE's ever had. It felt like, all right, let's have the old guard, so to speak, against the new one. And it kind of, other than the clothesline thing you mentioned, it felt like they kind of wrestled a big man match that was slow and plodding. So I don't know if that was just by design or if it's on somebody or not. Charlotte getting the win is fine because Lash doesn't need to win all the time. And Charlotte, still needs to get some wins at various points. I'm going to say like good because I was just kind of intrigued by a new, fresh matchup. And I was like, all right, like it's not amazing. And I didn't have the highest of expectations. I wasn't expecting a 5-star, but I'll still say like good, but your concerns are very fair.
Yeah, that works for me. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss later came across Rio, who reminded that they have a tag team championship match coming up before Charlotte and Alexa can get another chance. Lash and Nia and then the Kabuki Warriors came through screaming, so Aldis and security separated all of them, setting an 8-woman tag team match, faces against heels. Fine segment, fine match. Nothing gradable. I just wanted to mention it. Asuka on Raw crowed about beating Rhea Ripley last week, saying she paid for her disrespect. She also called the fans stupid babies. Kairi Sane said Io Sky never should have left her, so Asuka screamed at her and stole her mic. Rio interrupted for a brawl. Kairi shoved Io's injured back into the side of the announce table, but she prevented an insane elbow attempt. Sane then avoided Riptide, but the faces stood tall nonetheless. No clue what the Warriors promo was supposed to be. Asuka can speak English. She can tell a story. We've seen it taped. We've seen it live. At the end of this segment, I said to myself, man, this was really a situation where a pair of promo packages would have been much better to build the match. And then about 30 minutes later, Ripley led a produced promo package where she tore down Asuka as a delusional heel, basically considering she betrayed Io, broke Rhea's face, and misted both of them multiple times, all while hiding behind Kairi's blindside attacks. Ripley put her arm around Sky, saying they did not betray or disrespect Asuka. It's all been coming from the other direction. Rhea promised to break Asuka, while Io said Kairi is clearly lost. She's chosen the wrong path. Io also said she's stronger than Asuka, and the student has now become the master, ready to teach them a lesson in respect. The brawl, it was solid but formulaic, and after it, I was thinking, for a division that was red hot, firing on all cylinders a month ago, it really felt doused in, I'm not going to say cold water, room temperature water. And I was on my way to a negative grade. And then we got the promo package, which was exactly what it needed to be. So I flipped from light bad to light good, but it absolutely could have been better if the Kabuki Warriors had the same opportunity and got the same taped promo. No brawl was needed. We know they hate each other. Having them lose all those matches, Asuka and Kairi, after winning the titles, it has indeed cooled them off unnecessarily. But again, at the end of the day, this segment, like good.
Like good overall. I love the Asuka kind of wackiness stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it translates in front of the live crowd in the ring.
Agreed.
Like it works backstage and it works when there's people to kind of play off of it. But when it's just the two of them, the live crowd just kind of is silent and it kind of just makes it all a little bit awkward. Also, you keep saying Rio and it makes me, I keep thinking Rio in AEW.
Should I say Rio or like Rio? Like something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rio Skipley or something. It came around in the end to being good. But it is kind of, now we're finally getting to like, all right, let's just have everybody wrestle. We're all wrestlers. Let's just freaking wrestle. That's what we kind of been waiting for, and we're finally getting there.
We're wrestlers in a wrestling ring. Let's just freaking wrestle.
Indeed. Adam Pearce was backstage recruiting Trick when Bayley and Lyra Valkyria interrupted, with the former incensed and the latter trying to point out to Pearce that they have a case to be the next contenders. Pearce mentioned Liv and Roxy, so Bayley screamed that she literally beat Perez last week and then started insulting him, which was obviously not going to get him on their side. Ultimately, Lyra tried to calm waters, appreciating his consideration. I thought this was a step in the right direction when it comes to Bayley's character, and exactly what we talked about last week. Bayley not only being triggered by Valkyria smacking her, as it had been recently, but just being angry and the heel because she does have that split personality or whatever is going on in her head. This was old school heel Bayley being wrangled by babyface Lyra, not Lyra bringing out the heel, which is what we had seen in prior iterations of their interactions. The duo being left out of the tag team title picture recently, that has been absurd. We've discussed that. So I was further glad that it was directly addressed in this segment. This was good.
Yep. It was good. And much like Drew McIntyre, anytime Lyra Valkyria in street clothes, got to give that a hey now.
Yeah, she can get that for sure.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
And by the way, when it comes to hey now, and also when it comes to
big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
We're going to be introducing some new features on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast in 2026. We hope everyone appreciates them, accepts them, and understands their purpose. But they will be coming to a episode of performance enhancing audio near you probably next week. So stay tuned for that. Maxine Dupree hit the ring on her own wearing all black, looking and sounding much more serious while thanking fans for getting her back. Unfortunately, again, WWE production, she still came out to the Alpha Academy music, which is dumbfounding. She cut a promo on Becky Lynch, saying she refused to let go of the ankle lock and clearly forced Bex to tap out, just like she had no designs on letting go of the Intercontinental Championship next week. Lynch interrupted, saying the only time she's ever tapped out was to living in Orlando, and if the fans ever get rich and famous like her, they can move also. Cheap heat, sure, kind of a smart line though. Maxine threatened her as she entered, saying she'd either break her ankle or make her submit again. Lynch stuttered, trying to give Dupree a shred of credit for improving. Maxine retorted that she stole Becky's spotlight and she will take the rest of her accolades also. Lynch said 4 weeks of training won't eclipse a lifetime of success, and it won't be over until she wins because she's always someone who finds a way. Beck said Maxine will be under that spotlight next week. She'll either have to be what the fans think she is or what Bex knows she is. Lynch did close strong there, but for 75% of this segment, Dupree ate her up, and that was the entire point. Maxine was positioned to look strong on the mic against the best to ever do it. I thought Bex gave her a little bit too much, but that also told me, hey, maybe they're going to change this title after all. Overall, a nice go home. I went into the show positive 100% that Becky would win the title back. Now, I'd say 75%, but this was good.
Yeah, it was. A good job by Maxine in that spotlight. Handled herself well. Good.
Gunther backstage reiterated that he made John Cena tap out, so R-Truth confronted him, saying the disrespect needs to stop and that repeating the same stuff every week makes him a piece of... And then he whispered into his ear, shit. Because heaven forbid we hear the word shit at 9 p.m. Eastern on Netflix. I mean, what are we even doing here? Having Truth whisper that took the teeth out of the entire segment. Why would he whisper? The only kayfabe explanation is that he would get fined by WWE if he said a quote-unquote curse word on television. But if he's that angry, he shouldn't be worried about a fine. This would normally be an ungradable segment because nothing really happened, but it was so weak, I have to say bad. Plus, do we really need Truth to come over from SmackDown to fight Gunther? Really?
Come on, Usos. It's a joke, right? It's a joke, Usos. You ribbing me?
I have larger thoughts on the Gunther and all of this, so I'll just say that.
So we had Gunther against Truth. I reiterate that having Gunther tapped Jey Uso, so he now gets you tapped out chance despite being the person who tapped out Cena, it is so dumb in hindsight. Gunther entered during the commercial break, so the U.S. audience didn't get to feel the heat for the third straight week. Smart not to have Truth rap on his way to the ring, considering his restrained anger. Truth had a couple bursts, but Gunther put him down with a chop and a powerbomb. He pulled him up from a pinfall, laid in hammer elbows, locked in a sleeper for a tap out. Everyone else in the history of Gunther using the sleeper has gone to sleep. And then Cena tapped. So now what? Everyone's going to tap? Hugely inconsistent. If Truth had given Gunther a match, maybe I would have felt differently, but this gets another bad. Again, it went 4 minutes. Look how late in the show we're talking about the guy who forced Cena to tap out a couple weeks ago. We were talking about Gunther in the main event the last 2 weeks on this episode of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, and now he's late in the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is shit booking, and that's why it got that grade.
You ended with the first thing I was going to say, which was that. And what did I say, the last 2 or 3 episodes here, when I was very concerned with Gunther and the lack of things happening and lack of important things happening? I said, give it a few weeks, but we need stuff to happen. And 3 weeks into it, nothing's happened. And now you're finally having him wrestle for the first time since then, and it's R-Truth. Like, this is so bad what they've done with Gunther since beating Cena. If you were somebody who watched John Cena's final match and hadn't watched wrestling in a while, and he loses to Gunther, and you're like, wow, this Gunther guy must be a pretty big deal. I'll watch just to kind of see what he's up to. You have gotten almost nothing for 3 weeks. How many of those people are still hanging on? And this is such a problem with WWE, where something big happens and then they don't immediately feed off of it and build from there. They let things cool down until we get to something else. And I don't understand it and I hate it. And I'm just like, we're an hour and a half or whatever into the show and we haven't talked about Gunther and all we have to talk about is this. Like, how does it happen? Like, is it, oh, it's the end of the year, people are watching, we're going to wait till the new year? Like, how do you have nothing else in between? Like, he has been an afterthought now. And I'm not saying you can't, still do stuff with them and fix it, but like, this has just been garbage. The first week, whatever, like you want to just do that one thing, that's fine. But to do that 2 times in a row, and now this, it's just, I'm very, very worried that they are squandering the momentum they had with him. And very much so after this episode.
I mean, if Truth had approached Gunther, like if you want to do this, you have Truth approach Gunther, when he comes into the arena. You have him say, you're a piece of shit. Shove him. Get physical. They get separated. You do the match. Truth goes at him.
It's Ron Killings.
It's Ron Killings. It's Ron Killings. He goes after him when the bell rings. Starts wailing on him. Gunther pushes him off. He jumps back on him, wails on him. Gunther gets the upper hand. Truth gets another burst later in the match. They go 6 or 7 minutes. And Gunther either pins him or puts him to sleep in the sleeper or taps him out maybe in another submission and then laughs at him. I made you tap out just like your idol. The whole deal. And now you have the same 2 dudes with the same general concept, but something that has at least succeeded. And I promise you, we're maybe not talking about it in the main event of today's show, because after all, it's Ron Killings or R-Truth, but it may have led the good, the bad, and the ugly. And people are saying, wow, he really kicked the shit out of him. And maybe he refuses to let go of Truth at the end. So Otis has to come out, prise him off, and you have a big, meaty standoff between them. Is Otis anybody? No, he's not, but at least he's physically impressive. And that is now a match for next week. And you do something very similar next week where Gunther goes through Otis and it takes him a little while, but he eventually beats him down. His dominance is being proven week after week. But instead, this was a total wet fart, both backstage and in the ring. It benefited nobody. And if anything, it took Gunther down a peg from where he had been the last 2 weeks. I know you weren't totally sold on last week being a repetition of the first week coming out of Saturday Night's Main Event. I was fine with it. For me, this was a legitimate step down. And they now need to not just make one step back up to where they got to do 2. He's got to do something next week that is demonstrative, beat the shit out of someone backstage. And I don't know that they're going to do that.
And they're making the worst thing that they're leaning into. Gunther was like mean and bragging about beating Cena and disrespectful more than he beat Cena. Like everybody, like every time he pops up, oh, there's him. Remember when he called Cena a bitch or whatever? Mm-hmm. Like that's what we're leaning into with the Gunther stuff, which is the absolute wrong way to do this. Like, no, he is supposed to be intimidating and impressive. Yeah. And like that type of stuff, like that's his whole character. Like, and him taunting barely, after having beaten Cena is like not the storyline to build off of. It's he beat Cena.
Right.
And he's coming for more. And like, God, I'm very concerned right now.
I'm restraining myself from not going ugly after this conversation, but it was really just bad. It was 1 week. If this continues, then, the grade will change. Joe Hendry fought The Miz. Hendry opened SmackDown in the ring after a backstage skit with Miz and Aldis. Alpha Academy, 4 women, and a bunny were in the ring as he sang Jingle Bells, adding Miz has tiny balls. Oh, by the way, this was specifically sponsored by Fireball. Miz interrupted, but Hendry persisted, repeating the chorus. Miz interrupted again, saying he's chasing legacy as a locker room leader, refusing to be the butt of jokes. So Aldis came out and made their scheduled match a Miracle on 34th Street fight. For a SmackDown opening, considering how horrendous they've been recently, this was actually an improvement, especially on a taped holiday show. I can't say I was personally fired up about it, but the fans loved it. So in the match, Hendry unwrapped a guitar, Miz unwrapped a ukulele and 2 tiny blue ornaments. Hendry used a Christmas tree in a multitude of ways, including doing a fall-away slam of the tree, throwing it into Miz. Miz booted Akira Tozawa and hit the bunny with a kendo stick. Otis caught the stick, allowing Hendry to use another for a low blow. So they surrounded Miz 4-on-1 in the ring for a Hendry fall-away slam, an Otis caterpillar with a cookie in his mouth, a Tozawa flying senton, and a 5-knuckle shuffle from the bunny, who took off his head to reveal it was R-Truth, thinking it was Easter. That actually made me laugh because I didn't understand why a bunny was there. And then when I saw R-Truth, I was like, oh, Christian Holiday, he doesn't know which one. Okay, pretty solid. Hendry then hit a guitar shot and standing ovation through a table for the win. I'm giving this a good on behalf of the fans in the arena and the families at home that clearly loved this. I thought it was the wrong move for what was basically Hendry's first main roster appearance, not counting, the Randy Orton deal or whatever, especially including the other guys and not having it be a legitimate one-on-one match as if Hendry needed the help to beat Miz. I'm not trying to be Scrooge. It just didn't hit for me like it hit for others. But again, on behalf of the fans in the arena and the families at home, good.
Yeah, look, I'm never really going to give a bad to, it's a holiday. You do the street fight themed thing. You have some fun with it. Miz is usually involved. Everybody has fun.
Yeah.
It's not serious. I'm not going to take it that
Exactly.
serious. So it was fine. It was good. This is what Miz does. I guess this is kind of where we're going to slot Joe Hendry in. He's just kind of going to be gimmick wrestler, do fun things, which is fine. I just wasn't sure kind of what his spot would be, because he makes the Rumble appearance, he's TNA champion, he has the Randy Orton match. I was like, is he going to come in as a guy who we think could move up the card, or are we just going to do the say his name stuff, which is fine. Although I don't know if it was fully established in WWE canon, main roster canon, about the say his name and he appears. Like that was something like was a thing for, in TNA for a while, and then NXT. They're just kind of going with it. And if you don't know that backstory, are you a little confused by it? I don't know. Maybe you don't think about it that much, but this was good. It was fine. It was what it was.
I have a feeling that will get established, but in terms of his ceiling, absolute ceiling is United States Championship. I mean, that is the highest he can possibly go. I don't see him being ever a Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank winner, anything. I mean, unless he gets mega over, which is possible. You never know in WWE. It's possible. I don't see that happening. I think U.S. title is the ceiling. He's a low mid-card comedy act. I'm shocked. I remain stunned that WWE signed him. I thought, whatever you pick, his 15 minutes of fame were over. Got a great response. And he'll probably prove my take on that wrong, which is why I'm willing to just say it was a thought I had, but clearly not the correct one. Off the bat, I'm saying it. I can't believe it's still a gimmick that's working. Maybe because no one in WWE watches TNA in 2025.
Right.
It has the legs, but I don't know how it lasts.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know if they had fully established that part yet.
They haven't. Not on the main roster.
Like,
they haven't.
When Miz is like, no, don't say his name. Like, I was like, we haven't really talked about that in SmackDown at all. So whatever.
Yeah. Aleister Black and Zelina got a promo package on Damian Priest saying all he has done is pour his time and energy into others, all for no ultimate benefit. They claimed that they stripped him down to being hateful and violent over the last 6 months, but he still doesn't get it. They said he answers to them because they have already changed him, and if he cannot accept that, they'll have to end him. They will fight again next week. This was convoluted as hell, man. The fact that they actually had Zelina point out that it's been 6 months is the absolute height of absurdity. You should not be reminding your audience how ridiculous it is that they've been fighting for so long, yet nothing has come of it. Black tried to create some stakes here, but they actually don't exist. It might have been something if Priest had to give up his independence and work under Black should he lose, but instead, it's just another match. No stipulation was announced on SmackDown. This is coming out of their last one-on-one bout being last man standing. That was on October 10th. They're going to fight on January 3rd with no announced stipulation at the time the show went off the air. In what world does that make even the least bit of sense? Not this world. I was at a bad? No. This is ugly.
This right here is bullshit.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
Yeah, it's ugly. For the things you mentioned earlier about what would be different under Vince McMahon, this would happen under Vince McMahon. Constant rematches forever that never go anywhere.
This is a Vince McMahon-esque storyline. Yes, it is.
Yes. Bad. Ugly.
So you notice that I couched Chris twice, my no stipulation remark, saying no stipulation announced on SmackDown, right? That's because there actually is a stipulation for this match. Yet, it was not set until the next day on social media, which on its own is nonsensical. Making matters worse is that the stipulation, Chris, do you know what the stipulation is? Like while I'm talking right now?
I do not. I missed it.
I want you to guess, just pull it out of your ass. 3 stipulations for this match.
They're like commonly known ones.
This is a common one, yes. But I want you to just pick one that you think would be appropriate for this match after already doing last man standing.
Falls count any? No holds barred.
No holds barred is one. Falls count anywhere is another. Give me a third one.
I
Street fight, steel
say
cage,
fire. I want to say like fireball match, but that's not a thing. So I'll just say no DQ.
Okay, right. This stipulation is an ambulance match. And it was not prefaced in any way, such as the guys hospitalizing each other through attacks, someone getting stretchered off. They could have been a backstage parking lot brawl, falls count anywhere, loser leaves SmackDown. So someone has to leave the brand and go over to Raw. I could come up with 10 more sensible stipulations. So they corrected the error of not having a stipulation, but they picked one that is completely nonsensical and it is totally substandard for the feud and where it has gone.
Yeah, that's weird. And will it end it? Who knows?
Block at 0.
Jade Cargill backstage called Michin a coward for attacking her from behind, saying it won't end up, their feud won't end until she boots a hole through her chest. She said she doesn't need weapons because she is a weapon herself, but she told Michin to bring her kendo stick because she will need it. Separately, B-Fab told Michin she doesn't need her to stick up for her, and they should be really smart and cautious about how they handle the Cargill situation. Michin said they don't respect Jade because she's been a horrible person with an attitude, and she is not a locker room leader. She just has bigger muscles, and she needs to get humbled. So they're going to fight next week, finally. I've been shitting all over this for weeks, deservedly so. This was actually a decent setup, and it allowed Michin to show some gumption and personality for the first time in a long time. So since we grade by segment, this one, it actually gets a light good.
This is, or again, I keep saying it, like, they gave people some time and people who were on the show the week prior because they were the ones around.
Mm-hmm.
And so week to week, you were able to just kind of build off something and give enough time for something to at least just make sense and be consequential enough. So yeah, I think it's a good because if you build off those 2 weeks, you got enough time to kind of explain things and do some stuff and it makes sense. And we're here. So like, it's not amazing, but like, it was fine. It was good.
This match has to be 6 or 7 minutes. I do not want to see a squash. Michin can wrestle. Yeah. She's a much better wrestler than Jade. Let them actually go a little bit. I'm not saying you have to go 10, 15. Let them go 6 or 7. Solo Sikoa sat in front of MFT saying Uncle Howdy doesn't have a real family like he does because the Wyatt Six all run around in masks. Okay. He said the fireflies are fading away, the lantern is burning low, and the broken souls counting on him will become blood on his hands because the world is in his hands, meaning Solo, and he sang the line again. This didn't accomplish much. I'm going light good simply because Solo ate on this short promo. It's been the only quality part of this entire feud, Solo speaking. So this gets a light good, but I can't believe this is continuing. SmackDown's going to 3 hours starting this Friday. Hopefully the tag team division gets revitalized.
Yeah, like good, because I just thought it was a good promo and a well-delivered promo. I think this whole thing is kind of done with, but for just what this was, it was good.
Chelsea Green and Alba Fire fought Julia and Kiana James. The crowd was dead for this, which tells you all you need to know about how these women have been booked when they're not even hot for Chelsea at a minimum. Julia was allowed to look dominant. She beat Chelsea clean with a Northern Lights bomb that did get a decent reaction. Unfortunately, the match lasted just over 4 minutes for 4 women. There was zero reaction to it because the fans have no reason to care about any of them, especially Julia and Kiana. Their pairing is dead. WWE needs to realize as much and bury it. Stop trying to make Julia and Kiana James happen. They're not going to happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
This would have gotten a bad, but because it only got 4 minutes, it gets an ugly.
No, don't like that.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an ugly, but I got to say, Kiana James looked like $1 million, and it kind of made me think like she would almost work better as a heavy rather than a manager. But yeah, this was waste of time. I'll just say bad though.
You're right. She would be better as a heavy, but you can't be a heavy dressed like a stripper either. So yeah, she still has to dress appropriate for what her role would be. I'm not saying that neither of us have any issue with like seeing skin. We love looking at beautiful women. There's no issue here. But if she's a manager and she's not a lawyer, but she's a high-powered business person, you can't be coming out in a skirt that short.
Well, she
with everything.
She looks like she looks like a bigger deal than Julia. Is the other thing.
Not when she turns around and we see that Kiana James purse with her name plastered all over it like a billboard. She looks ridiculous. It's so stupid. And lastly here, this isn't even a gradable thing, but it's a quick conversation point. A short Oba Femi video package aired on SmackDown, and I believe a differently styled one also aired on Raw. It was not mentioned that he's a free agent like it has been specifically for Trick and Javon. Furthermore, it just does not make any sense to me to call up Javon, let alone Javon and Oba, considering the state of NXT, the men's singles division, and the fact that Femi is the NXT champion right now, and Javon should be the one to take the title off of him WrestleMania weekend. So I'm not exactly sure what WWE is doing with these guys. Are they about to wrestle across both brands? Are they just being teased for the Royal Rumble? And why are they so focused on the men when it's the women's division on SmackDown that is in dire need of talent, and there's a plethora of women waiting in NXT to get called up? You have the need and the supply. Those should be filled. The men's division, listen, Trick, Javon, and Oba, I want all of them up on the main roster theoretically as soon as possible. But I also want Oba to carry out his title reign that he has. And I want Javon to be NXT champion because he's 0-11-1 in TV title matches since he got brought to WWE. So this is the antithesis of what should be happening, bringing up 3 guys instead of multiple girls. And if both are getting called up, men and women, which we haven't seen that, why are the women not being featured on TV and getting their own spots like Oba Femi is, and Javon and Trick? So I'm just confused by all of this. But Chris, I know you're not a huge NXT viewer. I wanted to at least get your take.
I think I just overlooked this and thought it was just a commercial for NXT and didn't pay attention. I did not realize that that's what that was. But yeah, I don't, bring Oba Femi up, not this way. Make it an impactful, I'm on the main roster type of thing. And Javon Evans is so young, he doesn't need to be up either. So kind of surprising. I agree with you.
Okay, Chris, as we teased, a quick preview of next week's Raw, the big January 5th show, the 1-year anniversary on Netflix. We're not doing an ultimate preview. We're just going to go over the 3 matches on the card, give our last ditch predictions, because this is the final time we will talk about WWE in full in terms of the current product before next week. So we have the women's tag team championships, Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. In theory, you would want a big babyface moment on the show, and certainly them finally overcoming the Kabuki Warriors and Asuka winning the title, that would be one of them. But I don't think you take the titles off Kabuki Warriors this early, given the way that they were so poorly booked, especially when you could do this match again at WrestleMania and possibly have more women involved. And I don't think you want Ripley and Sky as champions. You really want them to be in chase. Complicating matters is when we thought about WrestleMania, 8 months ago, and we were projecting what we thought was going to happen at WrestleMania 42, it seemed clear that they were going to be giving us Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Bianca hasn't been on TV since then. So if they're not going to be doing that, are they really going to take Rhea and Io and just have them be in a tag team feud? Or do you have them win the titles here, drop them inside of the next, 2 months, and then have Rhea and Io on that show in singles competition? I don't know. I think they're going to be a tag team going into WrestleMania. Therefore, I think the Kabuki Warriors somehow retain the titles.
I think the Kabuki Warriors retain because we might be going, toward all these different teams are fighting each other type of thing. Like they've teamed them up in various ways, but it feels like the natural place to go would be all of these teams fight each other, in which case you probably don't change the titles now.
Right. You change the titles in that match, whether it's TLC with all of them, which would be incredible, by the way, or whether it is inside Elimination Chamber in February. That would be awesome. Or February, March, whatever month that is. So yeah, that is what I think as well. Intercontinental Championship, Maxine Dupree defending against Becky Lynch. The key about this is I could have seen Maxine retaining, but she's beaten Becky every single time. And we've discussed previously how it would have been okay, or it was okay, for Maxine to win the title, but the division is heading in a negative direction with her as champion. It's less believable, less dominant. And when you consider what's going on across the rest of the brand, Becky Lynch really does need that title back to continue the story that she's telling. Have her win it here. And if you want AJ Lee to beat her for it at WrestleMania, then you can go ahead and do that. But I gotta believe Becky's going to regain the championship. So I'm going to say a title change here.
I think Becky as well, because remember when Maxine won, we had all those people lining up to be her challenger, Roxanne and Raquel, and I think all we got was Ivy Nile?
Yeah, one match against Ivy. Yeah.
And so, it's been just Becky the whole time. So I guess we're not doing all of that. I'm going to say Becky wins it with, like you said, getting us to AJ Becky WrestleMania.
Right, exactly. And World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk defending against Braun Breaker. I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. I believe Breaker will be a world champion in 2026. I do not think he's taking the title on the first show of the year. They have the numbers advantage, but Punk, he has help. You know, Rey Mysterio, we talked about, Penta, possibly Rey Fenix if they bring him over, and he has all those guys getting his back. You know, the reason to give it to Breaker is if you're going to run Breaker and Seth Rollins for the title at WrestleMania. We don't know when Seth Rollins will be healthy, cleared, ready to go. Is he going to be able to be in the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber? Or will they, give a number one contendership outside of those two matches? These are all questions we have in the air. It's okay for Breaker to lose before he wins. And I believe he will lose here. CM Punk retains the World Heavyweight Championship in what I assume will be the main event of the show.
Yeah, and considering we've picked two heels to win these previous title matches, I think we're ending with the babyface. Punk retains.
Yeah, I'm also extremely curious to see what else is going to be on the show. How long is it going to go? Let's not forget the debut on Netflix, Chris, was a train wreck for a multitude of reasons. Primarily Dwayne Johnson cutting that, promo out of kayfabe.
I was just wondering, is he going to be back? Ted
Yeah.
Sarando's probably not going to be there. It's this. Where is this? Is it?
I think it's at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So
yeah, it's in Brooklyn. So
It's
not
the
LA.
other big venue. They did, the Intuit Arena in Los Angeles. So now they're going to the East Coast. And really, if the first Raw of the year shifts between those two, Madison Square Garden, Staples Center, whatever, that makes a lot of sense. So they're definitely making a big deal about it. But I don't know if we're going to have the same, star power there. If the show is going to be as inundated with a bunch of random stuff. It is the Stranger Things crossover. I'm just remembering right now. Who the hell knows what that's going to be like?
Do we open up with Triple H telling us that this is fake and we don't need to believe it?
And make sure you watch season 2 of WWE Unreal, coming in 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And Stranger Things, by the way, all I've heard, it's a good show. I didn't get into it. And then it was too late where I was like, well, I don't really want to do all the work to catch up. So I'm curious how heavy they go into that. I've seen Stranger Things pushes, and it's if you don't know the show, it really just kind of flies over your head. And so I will be curious how much they lean into that. Obviously Netflix, WWE was on the Netflix football stuff on Christmas.
Yes,
so they're very much leaning into all of this. I imagine we will get a lot of Netflix cross promotion in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I have an NI policy on Stranger Things. No interest at all. I'm not into horror. I'm not even into whatever genre this is. I tried watching the first episode. I turned it off 20 minutes in, I think. I was just I don't care about this at all. I heard season 5 is bad, or whatever season they're on is not good compared to the rest. I just don't know. So we'll see what that crossover looks like. There's been no teases to it, no match bookings, nothing like that. But that is the preview of the first Raw of 2026, January 5th. And we will see whether Vintage and the Silver King are correct with our predictions. All right. That wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. And I did forget at the beginning of the show to give you guys the schedule for the next 2 weeks. And I will admit, things are a bit in flux. Vintage and the Silver King, we're both trying to figure out our work schedules and where we can fit everything in. The goal, as of right now, is to give you the 2025 year in review, a truncated version of what we've done previously on New Year's Eve day. So early on December 31st. That is a Wednesday. Then on Thursday this week, the first episode of 2026, we'll talk NXT and AEW. I'm also willing to possibly push the 2025 year in review until January 1st and give you a 2 for Thursday, basically 2 episodes in one day. That is something that we might do. I could also save it for Friday. One way or another, the year in review is coming out this week. I just don't know which day. What is happening this week is we are putting out on social media the ballot for the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties. Vintage had to drop, so Silver King did the voiceover himself there. But that ballot will be coming out, and we will have voting all the way through the weekend with the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties, going down next week right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, along with our WWE and NXT AEW show. So 6 episodes in total over a 2-week span. We love bringing performance-enhancing audio to your ear holes, and that is not stopping at all in 2026, where we also have some surprises in store for you. So I appreciate everyone lending us your ear holes on the way out. Let me remind you to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. There you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, all that good stuff. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, when you subscribe, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews. Don't forget,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. And lastly,
It's all about the 5.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. If you don't hear from us again before 2025 is over, if you save our forthcoming shows until the new year, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you all so much for your patronage of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. For Vintage Chris Vanini, this is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.